Hello.
We are back.
Welcome to Basement Movie Room. We are indeed back for the season finale of House of the Dragon. Last week,
so sad.
We had episode 9 where we got to see the Greens, which the name is used quite often in this one. And we are now back, and we are on the side of the Blacks this time.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a season finale. Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was a really good episode. Just engaged in the whole episode. Just trying to, just listening to every word, any kind of hints of stuff that's to come, and it's just really building to, the next season, and so on and so forth. And this episode really does a good job of getting the ball rolling. So
it does, just like the last episode.
Those two led up to this.
These episodes feel like they're companion pieces, essentially, because one is, of course, just with Allison and her side, and now this one, the Green Council was the last one. This one, they're going to call it like the Black Council.
I guess.
I mean, because it just says episode 10. That's all it said, was episode 10. So we don't know what the name of this episode is. But nonetheless, this episode definitely just focuses on the Blacks. Rhaenyra and her family and friends. I thought it was
that is odd. It doesn't have a title.
Yeah, I think sometimes they have them. Sometimes they come out later.
Just comes out later, It's just not showing up on...
Sometimes. So, I thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah.
It's really, surprisingly for a season finale, it's just set up. Just like episode 9, the penultimate episode, was a lot of setup as well. And like I said, these are more like companion pieces. They're not individual episodes. They could have actually intercut these episodes together and given us one really long 2-hour episode.
Right, yeah.
But they didn't, obviously. They decided to go about this way. And I think it's better this way, to be honest, because it gets you... really into the one plot line, and then, we had the other plot line last week. So,
you can really dive into both, both sides, a little bit more in depth. And, I mean, not everybody's going to be on one side or the other as a viewer, so I think they did a good job of breaking it up into two, two episodes.
And I think timeline-wise, they do take place within the same time period, not the same time period. It's like, because Rhaenys arrives in first episode.
She still had her armor on and everything. So
this episode just follows the exact timeline from the last episode. We don't actually know what Rhaenyra and Daemon and them were doing, because they didn't know anything. They weren't really doing anything. They were just doing normal stuff. So we will get into the recap and talk about it. So I'll start off here. We open with a shot of the map table, which we've come pretty familiar with throughout the series with Game of Thrones in Dragonstone. And Lucerys is at the table, and he's kind of looking at Driftmark, and he has his hand on it. And Rhaenyra comes in and starts talking to him, and Luke immediately says, the sea snake is going to die, and he's just worried he's going to ruin everything if he's made, the heir to Driftmark, which he is. He's the heir to Driftmark. And Rhaenyra and he have a conversation. They're talking about her airship and the feeling she had on it, that she was pretty scared at the start. She didn't know what to do. And, she understands how he's feeling, and, ultimately she came to accept it. And, obviously at this point she thinks she's the heir, to the king. She, Luke says, he doesn't know how to be perfect, and Rhaenyra basically says you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
It's not expected of you to be perfect, really. After that, Sir Laurent, one of the King's Guard that's with Rhaenyra, walks in and announces that Rhaenys has arrived and wants an audience with Daemon and Rhaenyra. All right, so that's kind of the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Anything particular about that scene?
Just they really keyed in on Luke. and that kind of foreshadowed things to come. So it's really about those two this episode.
No, it's a shame because it was kind of the first real good interaction we had, particularly with Luke and Rhaenyra, and kind of a heartfelt thing. She loves her kids, obviously, just like any mother does, but she understands where he's coming from on that stuff. So
that relationship seemed genuine too.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a really good job of portraying a mother, son relationship.
Yep.
So
it definitely was sold.
It felt real.
Yeah, it was sold very well from very good actors, obviously. All right, so next, Rhaenys meets with Rhaenyra and Daemon. She lets them know that Viserys has died and how the succession has gone, that the Greens have crowned Aegon as king, and that they're obviously skipping her over. Rhaenyra seems pretty devastated by the death of her father. I think she gets everything from the conversation, but the death of her father, I think, is going to profoundly affect her. Daemon is he's very upset by it as well.
Yeah.
He ultimately just immediately assumes they murdered Viserys.
Yes, he jumped right to it.
He jumped right to it, but that's Daemon. He jumps to conclusions, obviously, on this,
It's kind of like, man, did you see what he looked like? When you were at the dinner table with him, he wasn't going to last long.
Yeah.
So
he says the Greens are coming for you to Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra goes into labor with the third child between Daemon and her. It's a tough labor. Yeah, it's a very tough labor.
Yeah, this show and its birthing scenes, man, it's rough.
Women's battlefield is the birthing bed.
Yeah,
as said earlier in the season. Yeah. So
this one in particular is very hard to watch.
Yeah,
this is worse than.
It's real rough.
I think this is the toughest one.
Yeah, it's real rough.
Yeah,
they don't cut or anything, so it's not nearly as gruesome there, but it's pretty bad. Yeah, so we can kind of cut there, but it's a tough labor. We'll get into more about that because this scene kind of intercuts with some other scenes. But essentially, Rhaenyra gives birth to a stillborn child. The third child is stillborn. I don't know that they ever announce whether it's a boy or a girl. I don't think they ever really do. But it's basically the cord was wrapped around the child's neck. The child died. And she birthed it all by herself. Would not let the maidens, the midwives help her. She's birthed it all by herself. And it was horrendous, as you said. Daemon does come into the room after the birth, and he seems pretty upset too. Obviously, it's his child. And then it shows Rhaenyra doing the funeral wrap herself. It's pretty emotionally devastating, scene for everyone involved. The Silent Sisters are there, and they're kind of like, like okay, just let her. It's kind of her grieving process, I guess. And then it shows Daemon kind of walking away and onto the beach, and very, upset as well.
Which really, it's kind of the first time you see an emotion like that out of Daemon.
Yeah, you don't get kind of that emotion out of Daemon. But his brother
lost his brother and
now his child
son, or his child. Yeah.
Son, daughter, we don't know.
Yeah.
So his child has died. All right, so the next scene, we get Daemon at the war table preparing defenses. He said they have to appear strong even though they don't have much to, which I guess I skipped. Did I skip this scene or no? I think I did. Yeah, I think I skipped a scene when I was taking notes. So we do have a funeral scene as well. Oh no, I'm all messed up here. Yeah, because these scenes intercut, so my notes are kind of all off.
Back and forth.
We get Daemon at the war table during the whole birthing scene. And he said to prepare defenses, they need to appear strong, and that the dragon keepers are going to be conscripted. And this is the first we've heard that the dragon keepers are capable fighters.
Yeah,
apparently.
Good fighters, yeah.
Yeah, so they have dragon keepers. They need to be conscripted for fighting.
In the meantime, you hear Rhaenyra in the background screaming in another room.
Throughout this whole thing. Yeah, screaming.
It's very uncomfortable.
Everybody's uncomfortable in the room and what's going on. Luke and Jace are out practicing swords, their swordship. They're called to Rhaenyra. She lets them know about the issues and the Aegon is crowned. She insists nothing except by her command is to be done, basically. And this is during the war table scene and while she's in active labor that this is happening.
Right.
Jace goes downstairs and basically announces that nothing can be done. They also get news that the sea snake is getting better, so Corlys is recovering actually from his wounds. He's not going to die. Great job, Vaemon. You died for nothing.
Yeah.
And so Jace does make that announcement, Rhaenyra, that nothing is to be done without Rhaenyra saying so. Daemon then questions this. I guess we can stop there. We'll stop there. So, do you have anything to say about those scenes?
No.
They're all very.
No. Yeah, it's very It not confusing, but it
it's
works
interspersed. It all works perfectly with what's going on. So So all those scenes, like Rhaenyra's kind of trying to avoid a war. Essentially, she's trying to avoid all the bloodshed that she expects will happen if they take immediate action. And
trying to be like her father.
Yeah,
keep the peace.
Keep the peace. Yeah, her father was a peacekeeper.
Yeah, and his Jacaerys was the peace. He was the peaceful king. Too,
yeah.
So
he was.
She's trying to keep that.
There was so many years of peace between Jaehaerys and Viserys, and now she's trying to keep that. So it's going to be a complete and utter failure. Just, spoilers. It's going to be a failure, but she wants to try.
This would be a boring show.
Yeah. So at the funeral, they have a funeral for the child, and they burn the child, but they don't use dragon to burn the child.
Yeah, you don't see one. You just see
the dragon. They just see a little. It's like a little fire
flame
pit.
Yeah.
That they burn the child in, which. I guess you can do it either way. The dragon seems pretty epic, but it's just a little tiny newborn baby. Yeah. So I guess they didn't figure they needed to go that route. But they do
probably save,
burn the body,
save a little money on the budget.
Yeah, CG budget there.
Yeah.
So they're burn the child, and as they turn back, Sir Eric, I think Cargill.
Yeah.
One of the Kingsguard, one of the twin Kingsguard that we saw in the last episode, comes up and says, he means no harm, and he brings the crown, Viserys' crown, out of his bag, and presents it to Rhaenyra. Daemon takes it to Rhaenyra, and she puts it on, and then they all kneel, except everybody kneels at the funeral, except Rhaenys. I mean, you're talking about Baela, Rhaena, her kids, all of all their kids are there. I guess we didn't see her and Damon's other kids. I didn't see those kids there. I guess they figured.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Not old enough for the funeral or whatever. But everybody kneels except Rhaenys. Rhaenys stands there. She is not going to kneel anymore. She's done with it. She's just done with it. And the face she makes is like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm not going to kneel.
Yeah, it just keeps you thinking if she's gonna join into the fight.
We don't know for sure. But her grandkids, Baela and Rhaena, both
they were good. Yeah.
And one of them, Baela, I think, is Baela is the ward of Rhaenyra, so it makes sense that she would kneel because she's almost like a mother to her. Because she is her stepmother, I guess, because Daemon's her father.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's very complicated. It all gets very complicated.
Family trees are crazy.
Yeah. So, So that's a cool scene. One of the Cargill brothers, obviously his other brother is back in King's Landing with the other king.
Yep.
And we're, that's kind of setting up a Cargill Bowl.
Yeah.
Like Clegane Bowl. We got Cargill Bowl.
Yes, right? Nice. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, if it was a small move, they'd have little, little horns, that they do. But yeah, we got the Cargill Bowl being set up. Two brothers going to fight at some point, pretty clearly, and if they don't, we're all going to be very disappointed. Yep. But yeah, it's a great scene.
They'll probably just hug it out.
Yeah, they're going to
be all fine. Yeah.
Brothers don't play swords. Brothers got to hug.
Got to hug.
Yeah. All right, so they fire up the map table. Literally, they put fire underneath, and it lights everything up. It's very cool. We never saw that in Game of Thrones. We never saw that in Game of Thrones that they could do that.
That was really neat.
Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. I put they fire up the map table literally in my notes. Yeah. They don't have much in the way of armies, is basically what they're saying here. They're kind of setting up the board, like placing, these people are with the Greens, and these people are with us, and these people are possibly with us. And so basically, they don't know if anybody's with them.
Yeah.
They know the people there. Obviously, there's a few minor lords there that are with them, obviously, and they announced the names of those houses. And there was Celtigar, and I think it's basically the seafaring people that are related to Driftmark and everything is who they announce. And then they say the sea snake is on his way, and that they also have dragons. That's like one of the minor lords brings up, we have the biggest weapon, we have dragons, and they count them out. We get a count, which is good because nobody's done this yet. They have 7 dragons. The Greens have 3. They have Vagar though, so it is kind of brought up that they have Vagar, the biggest dragon, the oldest, biggest dragon,
and that's not counting on any of the wild.
Yeah, and Damon brings up that there are unclaimed dragons at Driftmark. There's Sea Smoke, which was what's his name, Valerian. I can't remember.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna remember. It doesn't matter.
Can't remember. Yeah.
But her first husband, his dragon is unclaimed. And then there's also the wild dragons who live on Dragonstone.
Yeah.
So one of them's the cannibal. They don't say his name, but that's his name, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see him later in this episode.
Yeah.
So
I think.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's like the most popular one.
Yeah.
I'm spoiling it, but it's the cannibal. I bet it's cannibal.
Yeah. Sorry, spoilers.
As they're standing there, they get a notice that a ship from Eric Cargill, a ship is inbound to Dragonstone with a 3-headed green dragon on it. They've already changed the logo. Man, did those people work quick.
Those guys are really quick.
They called the seamstresses as soon as they're like, "Get it! We need a green dragon painted on this, or they're sewed into this."
Matter of days.
All right, so
guess they had printers back then.
Yeah. Printer painters. So I thought that it was cool that we got the dragon count. They kind of counted the dragons because people have been talking about that. Like, what is the actual count of dragons? Because nobody really knew. No. So there's at least 7 that are controlled on the blacks, and 3 on the greens. But the blacks also have access to an additional, I think it was 5 or 6. I think it's 6. Actually, does he actually say the number of wild ones?
He didn't say. He said the wilds.
It's 3 that are wild, I believe. And then there's 3 unclaimed dragons, which he named in the episode, but I didn't catch their names. Except for Sea Smoke, of course. He's an unclaimed dragon. Or she, I don't know if Sea Smoke's a female
there's 16.
There's 16 dragons.
Okay.
And plus, he also says he has the clutch of eggs.
Right.
That Caraxes I didn't know Caraxes was a female, but
the 3 eggs. Yep.
Yeah. So they have those, but dragons do take a little while to grow, as evidenced by Luke's dragon later in this episode, who is pretty small. Yeah, pretty small dragon.
Very tiny.
Yeah. All right. So that's that. Anything else to say about that before we get into the mirror scene from earlier?
Getting the dragons was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
And then me and you looking at each other like, oh, cannibal. So all
right,
so good. So
the next scene is going to be familiar because it's a very similar scene on the steps of Dragonstone. Otto marches up the steps of Dragonstone with the maester and some Kingsguard and other guards, because there's way too many people there for them all to be Kingsguard. I think the other Cargill brother is the only Kingsguard there. It seems to be, because the other guys aren't wearing Kingsguard armor from what I'm seeing on the screen right now, because it just happens to be perfect timing for this scene. So Otto comes up. Damon, of course, greets Otto just like the previous scene, and then he asks where Rhaenyra is. Rhaenyra flies in on Cyrax. in a very similar scene to what she did last time.
Yeah.
The only
Not as dramatic, though.
Is Caraxes doesn't come up behind Daemon this time, But she puts Cyrax right behind Otto and them as an enemy this time, as opposed to a friend. So Otto and the men there they're a little shaken, I think, because they could clearly just take them out very easily. I mean, Cyrax one breath.
Yeah, they're screwed.
Take them down.
Yeah, and if Crispin was there,
Crispin.
Somebody
would have died.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah. They wouldn't have made it out of there.
No, like Daemon probably would be in a fight with him, and
it would have been an active war.
Cargill would go over the wall. Something would happen.
Something.
He has no ability to do anything right.
Yeah, he's a loose cannon.
Yeah, he's a loose freaking cannon. So basically, this scene, Otto brings terms of peace. They want Rhaenyra to acknowledge Aegon as the king. I wrote in the notes, it's basically an insult and fucking massively stupid.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Otto is still a bad diplomat.
Yeah.
He comes in with like this high and mighty attitude rather than just a fealty towards somebody who is above him still, whether she's queen or Aegon's king. She's still above him, even if he is the hand. So Rhaenyra does not take this off well. She goes over to Otto.
Yeah, he needs to work on his people skills.
Pulls the hand pin off of him, throws it over, and says, "You're not the hand anymore," and calls him a fucking traitor.
Yeah.
Otto gives her a writing to remind her of Alicent and the friendship they had, trying to play to her emotions. It's from the book that I think
when they were younger.
Yeah, they were younger, and
that might have been the first episode.
Yeah, it was way back then. So Rhaenyra sees that there's nothing good going to come out of this if blood is spilled here. So she de-escalates the situation, and Otto says that Alicent's awaiting her answer, and of course Daemon says she can have her answer now. And it's a big no in less kind terms. And then Daemon asks for Cargill, whatever Eric. I think it was an A that it just said in the subtitles. I think it's Eric with an A on the black side. On the
black,
to go bring him Lord Hightower, but Rhaenyra again. She de-escalates. She doesn't think. She said the king will have her answer tomorrow, basically the next day, and walks away. And that's it. That's the end of that one. Everybody walks away. Nobody dies.
These bridge scenes are just amazing.
They're so both mirrored. It's such a good mirror.
It is.
Basically, with Rhaenyra being the peacekeeper in both of them, actually. I mean, it's very much a mirror to that. Yeah, it was terrific. All right, so they're back in the map room, and they discuss again what to do. She basically, Daemon wants to just use the dragons and fight it out.
Yeah, he's ready. He's a fighter. He's a warrior. Yeah, he wants to get in there, get his hands dirty.
So Rhaenyra basically says she doesn't want to be a queen of Ashenbone, which is very similar to the lines in the Game of Thrones series as well in that regard.
Yeah, to that.
Daemon's obviously probably right here, honestly. The peace is not going to work. There's no peace to be had, so why not just go do what they got to do. He's right, even though if it doesn't sound good. But
cut to the chase and get to it. Yeah,
he's right. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be proven by the end of the episode that he's right, although somewhat of a mistake.
And he really doesn't know his place right now with her. He steps on her toes so much in this episode. Yeah. Even on the bridge. And, the scene where she clears the room after he kind of makes her look lesser.
She clears the room.
Yeah.
And that's when she says, he's talking about the dragons, and that's when she says she doesn't want to be a queen of ash and bone.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Daemon is he's impetuous and aggressive in all situations, even like minor things like Vaemon when he just killed him without the king actually saying anything about it.
Right.
He got forgiven. Whatever. Yeah. He's fine. It was probably a good kill. Probably should have been happening anyway, but he did it without permission. So, basically, Rhaenyra says we have to play this the right way.
Right.
That's about it. Play it, and then she brings up to Damon directly a song of ice and fire about, the conqueror's dream. That's what it says. And Damon grabs her by the neck all of a sudden when she starts talking about Viserys' dreams.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my brother, was a slave to his omens and portents.
Yeah.
It says on the screen right there. But Rhaenyra realizes that he's doing this because he has no idea what she's talking about. He never told him this. And, he also says, oh, dreams don't make us kings. Didn't make us kings. Dragons did. And she does realize that he has no idea.
Such a great line.
Yeah. He has no idea about the Song of Ice and Fire. That Viserys never told him. And that's why he's being so up in arms about it, because he likes to be in on everything.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like to be showed up and things like that.
He has an ego.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the end of that scene. It's a good one, but it shows, that Damon is just... He's out of his mind right
He's a little unhinged, yeah.
He's out of his mind right now.
He's more unhinged.
Yeah, he's mostly unhinged all the time.
Yeah. So,
but, he choked her for a little bit there. She's kind of seemingly like, oh, maybe I, not the greatest.
Yeah. Don't kill the queen.
Yeah.
Before she's queen.
Yeah. So Corlys awakens on Dragonstone with Rhaenys in the room. He seems fine. A little sweaty. little time to kill sweaty. Yeah.
Yes.
But he seems fine. Looks like he's going to recover, or he's pretty much already recovered. He indicates that he, heard there's a new king. She says, before that, she says, you abandoned me when I most needed you. Basically, when both our kids had died. He just ran off.
Yeah.
In his grief. That's how he treated his grief. But she had nothing. It's because she couldn't leave. Somebody had to stay in Driftmark. And he just left her and the grandkids behind to go adventuring, and conquering the Stepstones. She has to break the news of Vaemon's death to him to let him know exactly what happened. And Corlys doesn't take that all that hard. He's not fond of it, but he's like, yeah, Vaemon was kind of that way.
He knew his brother.
He knew who his brother was, and then he kind of figured that would happen at some point, I think. So he's not super pumped that his brother's dead, but he is not real surprised at it, I don't think, because his brother was, much like Daemon, aggressive and impetuous.
and he's really feeling the burden of going after the throne. You know, he's losing.
Yeah, he says he should.
He said he's lost everything.
It's cost him everything.
Yeah,
and
Rhaenys is like, we.
Yeah,
it's not just you.
It's us. Basically, when he's saying that, he's also saying that we should just go back to Driftmark and just not get involved in all this.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more of that. And Rhaenys reminds him that it's not just them.
Yeah.
It's their grandkids are Daemon's kids. And their other grandkids are, in line for the Driftmark, and their son's kids, It's like,
they're gonna kill him.
Yeah, they're gonna get killed if they don't, and maybe them helping will keep that from happening.
So another case of trying to keep the peace, not gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's just not a reality.
Yeah, and Corlys also, he's somewhat unkind to Rhaenyra in what he's saying, and Rhaenys says, "Hey, she's the only one in that room holding things together right now. She's being very smart about things." Because
she's not rushing to any conclusions.
It's the men against women thing again. They're just jumping to that, this is what it is.
God wills it.
So after that, Corlys...
Little Kingdom of Heaven reference.
Right. That's right. After that, Corlys and Rhaenys enter the war room. Corlys is reminded of his oath. And basically he says... you don't need to remind me of my oath. The high tower treason cannot stand, and we swear to your cause.
Right.
Basically. So Driftmark is going to be part of her army, and basically he tells her that they now control the Stepstones, that the Triarchy over in Essos has been defeated, and that they can control the entire ocean, basically, coming into King's Landing.
I guess nobody knew that already.
I guess not. I guess,
Did he only have that information?
maybe the information had gotten there, but it wasn't as firm in that he, he hadn't indicated that he had put
what he actually did with the garrison
or whatever to keep it, garrisoned all.
Yeah.
So Rhaenyra indicates she doesn't want to act first. She wants to know her allies before the war. Basically, Corlys indicates, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
basically, and that's where he announces that he's going to blockade everything and keep any trade going into King's Landing. They're going to own the Narrow Sea, basically, which they already do. They own the Stepstones, and that's how everything travels.
Going to starve out the King's Landing.
Cut off King's Landing.
Yep.
So Corlys, he's a great military mind.
Yeah.
So having him on her side is fantastic because of the Navy. That helps a lot. Obviously, it doesn't hurt King's Landing completely because a lot of food and stuff is produced inside of the country, like
for
Tarly, the Tarly household. They produce a lot of wheat and things like that. So they'll get supplies, but it does help them in some ways. And the people aren't going to be happy about it, obviously. All right. So ultimately, in this conversation, they're talking about sending somebody to the Vale of Aaron and sending somebody to House Baratheon and Stark. Luke and Jace step up and volunteer to go, that they think it'll be quicker than sending ravens, and that they think it'll be better for princes to show up and ask for the help rather than just a note, basically. Rhaenyra is not super fond of that, but ultimately she tells them that they can go and remind them of their oaths and the cost of breaking them, and she says they go as messengers. They are not warriors. They will take no part in any fighting, and they have to swear to it. So Luke and Jace swear to it, and she agrees to let them go. The next scene is a great shot of Dragonstone from afar with Luke and Jace's dragons riding away. A third dragon, too? There was a third dragon?
I didn't catch who that... Yeah, there was. There was three.
Who that was.
I didn't catch who that.
Because I didn't think one of the girls was going.
It wasn't Daemon, was it? No.
I don't think so. It didn't... No, it definitely wasn't Daemon because I would have recognized his weird dragon.
Yeah, true.
That dragon tail and everything.
Yeah, no, there's another scene with him later.
Yeah, but there was a third dragon, and I'm not sure who that was.
Maybe it was one of the...
Yeah, it could have been Bela or Rhaena, one of the two of them. But I thought it was just... I thought Jace was going to go to Aaron and Stark, and Luke was going to go to Baratheon, because it's much closer. So for him, it was a shorter flight. He's the younger one, obviously. But yeah, they leave on their dragons. The next scene... The scene we were kind of coming to earlier. Daemon with a torch is walking through some caves, singing a song in Old Valyrian, because you heard Dracarys in it at some point as well. A dragon, he gets to a point, puts the torch down, and a dragon breathes fire around the ceiling and gets in close on his face. Assumingly it's one of the wild ones. I'm going to say it's probably the cannibal, but I don't know for sure. And it's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big dragon.
Yep.
Yeah, it is not a small dragon. So Daemon's clearly going to try to tame the wild ones, or at least a wild one, to try to get an extra advantage over them. Because he just knows. He's smart enough to know that dragons are going to be this fight.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
That's their nuclear weapon.
Yeah, it is the nuclear weapon.
So,
anything else about those scenes?
No, that scene was pretty neat though.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
The singing alone was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Scene.
But yeah.
All right. So Luke lands at Storm's Inn, right in the courtyard. However, Aemon's there because we see Vhagar in the background. Let's pop her head up. Luke's a little taken aback by that. I think he's a little scared, but he is going to do his job. He walks up to the guards outside and says, Prince Lucerys Valerian. They stuck with the name.
Yeah.
They stuck with the name.
Yes.
To see Lord Baratheon. Boros Baratheon is who he's going to. Boros is kind of a dick.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a Baratheon.
Yeah. I mean,
he's got that brute just kind of...
Yeah, just straight up like, what are you doing here, kid? Yeah. Yeah. And so Luke hands a note to one of the guards to take to Boros, and Boros can't read. He has to call the maester.
It can't read.
You never learn to read. So he calls the maester. Boros is not impressed by what the maester whispers in his ear from the note, and indicates that Luke's come with empty hands. He can't even marry one of his daughters. At least Aemon has promised to marry one of his daughters if they side with King's Landing with Aegon. And basically, Boros just says no.
Go home, young prince.
Home.
Yeah.
Yep. So, guy with Boros reminded me of Russell Crowe from.
No, he did.
From Thor.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Sorry, spoiler alert for Thor. It's been out long enough. Should have seen it by now. Yeah.
You're not missing much.
Yeah. So, as Luke turns to walk away, Luke is obviously the one who cut Aemon's eye. So Aemon's there in the court, and eyeballing him the whole time that Luke's doing this.
I see what you did there.
Aemon tries to instigate a fight. Aemon asks for Luke's eye. He says he gets that. He wants that eye to take it back to his mother because that's what she wanted. Aemon pulls off his patch on his eye. It's gone. You can see the sapphire that he's placed in his eye.
That looked good.
Yeah, no, it looked great. I think it was awesome.
And they kind of spoiled that in the trailers too.
Yeah, Luke refuses to fight like his mother told him to. He says, I'm a messenger. I'm not a warrior. And Aemon kind of laughs at this, but Boros, Aemon comes towards him, and Luke is obviously going to defend himself, so he draws his sword. And Boros says, "No, you can't fight here.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen here. Let the boy, go." Luke runs outside, runs to his dragon to return home. His dragon Arax is kind of seems disturbed by the storms, or maybe Vagar. They're kind of is a little disturbed, and he's kind of like, hey, calm down,
focus,
focus. And he gets on him, and they ride off. Yeah, we're on pretty much the last scene now.
Yeah, pretty
Anything
much.
to say about any of that?
No, it was cool to see the sapphire, though. I mean, I was waiting for that for a while.
See, there's the three dragons.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
I'm thinking it must be one of the girls that went with Jace. Whichever one has a dragon.
I can't tell.
It's one of the girls, isn't it? No?
No, that's Jace right there. I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably one of the girls.
It had to be.
Yeah.
So Luke's flying away on his dragon Arax, who's a small dragon. He's not very old. And Aemon comes with Vagar. You see him they're in a storm. And you see Vagar kind of over the top as lightning strikes, and just the massive size of Vagar.
See where it got its name.
Yeah. Just huge.
Dragon. Yeah, you really do get the scale.
Yeah, the scale is huge. Luke's running. He gets into a little area, like the trench run. It's in a trench that Vagar's way too big to get into, but Aemon stays on him and just doesn't let up. Then Arax, being scared, stops listening to Luke and turns and fires on Vagar in the face. Vagar's pissed, stops listening to Aemon, and they're both saying, serve me. Serve me. What is it? Dohaeris or whatever, Valar Dohaeris, all men must serve or whatever. So they're saying that, and Vagar just ignores it. Arax is flying across, and Vagar just comes through and tears Arax in half. Jace is obviously killed.
Yeah, swallowed
or torn in half or whatever. Because where Vagar bit through was right where Jace's saddle was.
In the book, they never found his body.
Yeah.
So they assume he
went down
got
the
swallowed.
ocean.
Yeah,
or he got eaten.
Yeah. Check the dragon's poop.
Aemon. So Aemon, honestly, he didn't mean for this to happen. He seems disturbed by what has happened.
A little shook up. Yeah.
He was really just being a bully. I don't think he intended anything bad to happen. He didn't think he was going to get Luke's eye. He was just being a bully and scaring Luke because he can. And it backfired. Complete backfire. Aemon's realized what he's done. He started the war.
Yep.
He did it.
And that's what these kids do.
Yep, that's the kids all
They
the time.
screw everything
all
up.
the problems.
Yeah.
They cause the last problem in the episode where Viserys dies.
Mm-hmm.
They were the cause. That's why Rhaenyra had to leave, and they couldn't all stay together. And
Right. Yeah, they
get the
ruin
peace.
they ruin everything.
And Viserys, of course, died that night. That they had to leave, take the kids back to Dragonstone, and turn that bus around.
Punish your kids a little bit.
Yeah.
Set them straight.
Yeah. Aemon, he's
They need spankings.
he did seem worried though. At least. He seemed worried about what he
didn't really see that kind of reaction coming.
Yeah.
But it was that whole scene was really cool. It's the fear of what you can't see there.
Yeah.
It's almost like like not seeing the shark in Jaws.
It's like it's a storm, and then like the last part, boom,
flash.
out in the sunlight.
Yeah.
And that's when Vagar just
boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when he thought he was safe.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, it is a very cool scene,
Mm-hmm.
and the dragon work is great.
And like I said, I don't care too much about the dragons. I like everything, all the political intrigue. Yeah. But this was really that scene was really good.
It is
with the dragons.
Oh,
yeah,
it's fantastic.
Just to see them like fighting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rhaenyra receives news, assumingly of Luke's death, and basically, there's going to be war.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly. I mean, she's not going to back off her son being killed.
Yeah, she is pissed.
Daemon clearly is not going to be happy about it either because, it's her son. It's his stepson, technically.
Yeah.
So she's not happy. It's going to be war.
She lost a lot this episode. She lost her dad.
Yep.
Her unborn child.
Yep.
And
one of her older sons.
Yeah. If that doesn't put you over the edge, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to check back in on the Starks or Aarons because the episode ends right there with Rhaenyra. But assumingly the Starks and Aarons are going to be contacting, we'll see the results of that next season, which we don't know when that's coming. Who knows?
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to wait 2 years.
Yeah, I hope not.
Man.
Like Rings of Power, of course.
Good
Check
Lord.
out our Rings of Power podcast.
Yeah, hey.
On YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. So that's the end of the episode. It was a really good finale. It's not like a finale though. These two episodes were more like an episodes, like if there was 10 episodes, it was more like an episode 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And then a finale where we come to some kind of big head and then it ends. You know? But, I think it cut off fine. I think I know what they're going for. They don't want to get into the full war.
Yeah.
I assume they're just going to start the next season with battle lines being drawn, and that's getting like a
you have to
with who's where and where's what. Maybe they'll change the intro to a map of Westeros now that they're all involved. I think it would be a good idea.
That would be
because the one they got now is very confusing.
Show the table. Do something with the table.
That's right, the table.
Lighten up. That would be neat.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
But yeah, for a season finale though, it didn't get you like go back to Game of Thrones. That season 1.
Yeah.
The season finale. You didn't have that here. So like you said, it is more like a to be continued.
Yeah.
And
the
nothing no shock
penultimate
factor.
episode of Game of Thrones was that episode 8? Ned Stark getting his head cut off too happened in either 8 or 9.
I thought that was a finale.
No, the finale is Daenerys coming out of the fire with the dragons. That was the end of the finale episode.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
But you didn't have that kind of shock factor or wow factor in this.
Yeah.
To where you're like, oh man, that season finale was just memorable. Yeah. I mean, it's a very good episode.
Yeah,
it's not building.
It's not mind blowing
for what's
although
it's death. Yeah, that's a big piece of what's gonna to come. But it wasn't anything that you really didn't see.
Read the books.
Yeah, true.
The book as well, so we knew that was coming.
Yeah,
I guess some people might be shocked by that. It's shocking. It's a shocking death.
It happens quick too.
It's a kid.
Yeah,
he's 14 years old.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think.
Great season.
I'm kind of sad.
Yeah.
That it's over.
I know. We lost Rings of Power. Now we've lost House of the Dragon. What are we going to do now?
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll have to figure something else out.
Yep. We'll be
Stay
back.
tuned.
Probably movies again.
Yep. You sound so sad about that.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is the final of the first season of House of the Dragon. Obviously, if you're watching us on Twitch, be sure to follow us on YouTube, basementmovieroom.com.
What do you think about season overall?
Oh, the season overall is great.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. I'm not going on the star scale for this one. I'm going 9 out of 10.
Okay.
4.5 stars out of 5, though.
Yeah. I'm probably a little higher than you. 9.5. I think it's pretty. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, no, I was not sure. After coming off Game of Thrones, I was not sure how this would play out. And it played out very well.
Man.
It's well done. I think they chose the right people to run it, although Sapochnik is unfortunately leaving after this season. I can't blame him. He don't want to be locked down in this for a long time. He's not a showrunner. He's a director.
Yeah.
So, but they're bringing in Alan Taylor, who directed some of the episodes and has a long history of directing and not show running, but they have Condell as the showrunner basically, and then they're adding director as a showrunner. So Alan Taylor's coming in. He's done a lot of stuff, so that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no weak episodes.
not really. No.
I mean, with the exception of I wasn't as big a fan as the last episode with Rainey's coming out of from the depths.
Yeah,
I thought that kind of got a little goofy, but
that was a little silly.
Past all that. But
I think they just did that for fun.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I got no complaints with this.
No.
Yeah.
No complaints whatsoever.
9.5. If it wasn't for that little bit, might have been a 10.
Yeah. I got it at 9 for the season. Yeah, I loved it, but yeah, it's I think it it can improve, but overall, it's pretty fantastic.
There's a lot more story to be told, and I can't wait.
Yeah, there is.
So.
All right, so that is Basement Movie Room. Follow us on basementmovieroom.com at YouTube. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app, or of course at twitch.tv/basementmovieroom.
Yes.
We're also on Instagram and Twitter at movie_basement, I think, and at Basement Movie Room on Instagram, I think. I don't know. I can't keep up with this stuff. I got too many accounts.
Too many.
Or Facebook. You can find us facebook.com/basementmovieroom. So any of those places you can reach us. All right. So that's it for this week, and we will see you for something else next week.
Yeah, roll the credits.
Halloween episode is coming up. Halloween episode.
Oh, yes. All right.
All right.
Gonna miss you guys.